Kyle has to call people and ask them to show up. I know that over the last couple of years, the word vibes has been both a good and a bad thing in Bay Area sports. I don't know. It's just one of those words, but those vibes last as long as you're getting a few wins, or else it's almost going to actually serve to bother the fans. Kyle Shanahan spoke, and he addressed this, and I think this might be the overarching theme of the offseason, if I may. I think the number one thing that people feel good about is we're about to go through the J months without any drama, no contract drama. So Kyle was asked how that helps and affects the team this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I know we had a number of contract holdouts last year, and I think we've had a couple before that. But we've always had a real good turnout for OTAs and for our offseason. I mean, we're a team that, usually have like one or two maybe with contracts and one or two who got other stuff going on. But I think our attendance has always been real good. The contract stuff gets made a big deal. It's always annoying when it goes into camp, and especially when you're going into a first week and stuff like that. But that's not something that really affects the team right now. It's cool that we don't have any of those on the horizon, though. So, there'll be no hiccups in the future.
It's interesting. Kyle made this about attendance, and I don't think for fans it's about attendance. I get where he's coming from. He's like, yeah, because these coaches are so nuts and bolts, right? Is he here or is he not here? If he's not here, we're going to coach people who are here. And then we're going to wake up tomorrow and do it again. It's like, no. This stuff, as much as you want to tell us, it doesn't, next man up, it doesn't affect it. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. There is an emotional side to life. And you will never convince me that what Brandon Ayuk and the Niners conducted last year didn't bleed into everything. Everything that went on with this team had something to do with and was affected by that situation. So I'm glad the reporters pushed him a little bit more and said, hold on, I get the attendance part of it, but what about the emotional side of what this creates for the team this offseason?
The way I addressed it the most was our last meeting in January. I just told the guys, I talked about how the season ended the year before, and how when I felt them all come back, I felt guys weren't ready to come back, and I understood that. But I told them how I won't really understand it this year. Not that was right or wrong, but I couldn't comprehend it. We're off 5 weeks earlier. We all know how disappointed we are, and a lot of us have played a lot of football here. But we're going to have a team that doesn't know what we've done in the past or how you guys have earned a lot of stuff. We need to show them. And the first meeting that when we get back, I expect our whole team to be here, and it's be important to guys. And I thought the coolest thing was everyone being there on the first day. We had every guy show up, and I didn't have to call anyone and beg them, which said a lot. Like, they all knew what I said at the last day, and I wanted to see if they really meant something to them, not to where I had to call them and remind them, and I didn't, and they all showed up, and they've all been working, and to me, that's something I really appreciate, and I got the right guys.
That's a pretty interesting statement.
Right, and it should be the way. If it was not the way off of 6-11, then maybe we have some culture and some locker room issues. If you go 6-11 and you aren't thinking, you know what, I get an extra 5 weeks off that I don't want, I'm going to bust my hump to make sure I am absolutely locked in and ready on, forget day one, day zero, because darn it, I don't want to go 6-11 again.
I don't want to be one of these media members. I'll never know what the physical toll is of being in the NFL. But my first reaction is, I don't care if you went to the Super Bowl. Kyle has to call people and ask them to show up. Even if you went to the Super Bowl, this is 3.5 months later. You don't just come because you're supposed to be there.
Yes, but sometimes you don't come because you want fresh money in your deal, and sometimes you don't come because, they say they don't want me, and you're up for a new contract, and, all the rest of the other things that are they're personal, me-based. And I think when you come off a Super Bowl, you're more likely to think about the I, me, mine part of it. Those are three of the words I try not to use ever. I, me, mine.
I, me, mine?
Yes, it's I, it's me, it's mine. If you're making a lot of I, me, mine statements, that tends to be of a selfish nature. And when you're on a 53-man football team, it needs to be we, ours, us. And that's where Kyle, I think, is saying, it feels like everybody came in because we want to be better. This season is ours, and it's all about us.
That's an interesting statement. I mean, he doesn't say that unless that's been a part of his past, right? Call and beg people to show up? Can we hear that again? I want to hear this again.
The way I addressed it the most was our last meeting in January. I just told the guys, I talked about how the season ended the year before and how when I felt them all come back, I felt guys weren't ready to come back, and I understood that. But I told them how I won't really understand it this year. Not that that was right or wrong, but I couldn't comprehend it. We're off 5 weeks earlier. We all know how disappointed we are, and a lot of us have played a lot of football here, but we're going to have a team that doesn't know what we've done in the past or how you guys have earned a lot of stuff. We need to show them, and the first meeting that when we get back, I expect our whole team to be here and it to be important to guys. And I thought the coolest thing was everyone being there on the first day. We had every guy show up, and I didn't have to call anyone and beg them, which said a lot. Like, they all knew what I said at the last day, and I wanted to see if they really meant something to them, not to where I had to call them and remind them, and I didn't, and they all showed up, and they've all been working, and to me, that's something I really appreciate, and know I got the right guys.
I don't know why this is hitting me that way. You just say it twice in the last 20 seconds. Is that really the way it normally goes? You have to call people? Hi, this is Kyle and stuff. I just want to remind you that work started yesterday and you're not here. And I'd like to beg you to be here. Please, Please be here. Would you please be here, because you're on the team and we pay you a lot of money and you haven't taken a hit in 3.5 months. Please come. Please come to Santa Clara. We'll send a map and please be. Really? Is that how this normally works?
Coming off a Super Bowl where you have disappointment and you've got some players who are probably still feeling like they're not ready to come back. I still want some offseason. I don't know which individuals he would be addressing, but just looking at this year's offseason workout program, the first day is April 22nd. So you go from the Super Bowl mid-February to the first day of showing up 2 months later. That might feel a little bit quick. And this year, when you have 5 weeks more off, now all of a sudden you got 3.5 months. So I'm not saying that it's justified, but the fact that he laid it out like that, I see the positive in his message, but also it did catch me a little off guard, like his use of beg. I had to call guys and beg them. Please. I mean, Trent, I'm on my hands and knees here. Trent, can you please show up, please?
That's good, man. It's good. It's good. You know, I know that over the last couple of years, the word vibes has been both a good and a bad thing in Bay Area sports. I don't know. It's just one of those words. It's great. You love having great vibes, but those vibes last as long as you're getting a few wins, or else it's almost going to actually serve to bother the fans.
But I think if we take vibes and we go back to the Niners last year, the vibes were off from the offseason all the way through with Brandon Ayuk and the way he went about his contract negotiation. That was not very vibe-friendly. Trent Williams, with the tragedy that befell both of his twins, one right away when the season was getting started, and he had the holdout before that, and you had Christian McCaffrey with bilateral Achilles tendonitis, where he was not 100% himself. Ricky Pearsall gets shot, and Charvarius Mooney-Ward goes through his tragedy. So it was almost impossible to vibe it up. And even when you get to the Debo Tabor Pepper incident and eventually the Devondre Campbell I quit situation, Dre Greenlaw couldn't play all year. So in terms of the vibes, 6-11 is not very vibe friendly, but that was a shipwreck from March on.
Dude, do you know, I read something.
Did I leave anything out?
No, well.
On bad news?
No, you didn't, except for maybe one thing that I didn't even know about. And I wonder if I'm glad you brought this up, because I've been meaning to ask some other people about this. Grandy Lucas, maybe you heard it. I wonder, how does this grab you? I was reading something from Eric Branch last week with regard to the Niners, and he made a reference to the fact that George Kittle was asked about Fred Warner playing on a broken ankle. And I don't have the quote in front of me, but I'll paraphrase. And George's response, because he apparently was playing with a broken rib. We didn't know that, though.
Wow.
And George made a comment of like, well, everybody out here plays hurt, and not all of us tell you about it. And I was like, oh,
that's the classic Willard.
Oh, is it?
Oh, you almost did a Dave Fleming there, huh?
So like, it makes you go, George, Fred, y'all good?
Shots fired?
It felt that way. It felt like he was, and I can understand this in a football locker room, even though that's excessive. Like Fred is playing on a broken ankle. But yeah, on the other hand, we never hear about that stuff until the year is over.
Right. And football has that badge of honor, the code where you don't talk about your injuries. If you're injured, you don't play. And if you play, well, then you're not injured. And that is kind of, I think, the nature of football and the tough guy sport. And Fred Warner, yeah, it got out that he played with a broken ankle. Just looking at his snap count, he led the team in snaps.
Yep.
He played 93.5% of all defensive snaps. George Kittle with the broken ribs played 75% of the snaps. But he's not always going to be out there because sometimes,
right.
You do need to go four wide receivers if you're losing. But, both those guys played through injury and both played a ton.
Yeah, it's interesting.